So some people break that down further, but I tend to group these in the 5 that I just mentioned. And what's a great exercise for anyone that's listening is to think about, just write those down on a piece of paper or draw them in a pie chart and think about what your priorities are. And people are like, well, they're all equal priority. And A, that's not usually true. And B, it's usually impossible to try to do that. So this concept of life-work balance actually sets us up to feel like failures all the time. There's really no such thing as perfectly balanced life and work. And the reason is, A, most of us work more. When you look at your waking hours, people work 8 to 10 hours a day. And then they're sleeping, hopefully, another 7 or 8 hours a day. And there's only so many hours left. So you're never going to be perfectly balanced in terms of the time you spend on them, but you can think about consciously carving out time for some of these other things. So client says, I really want to work on my health and fitness, Lisa. And I say, okay, so where will you slot that in? And so one of the best exercises is first list these out, then take a calendar, like a blank calendar from when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed at night for the whole week, Sunday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday, however you want to do it. And map it out. It's what we call an ideal time map. So ideally, how would you like to be spending your time? I'd like to exercise 3 days a week. Okay, where will you slot that in? And ideally, I'd like to spend time with my family. Okay, where will you do that? And it's not going to happen where you look at your ideal time map every day and you're like, wow, I'm spot on. I'm matching my ideal time map every day. But if you could match it 75% of the time, you're doing better than you used to. And if, let's say you're matching it none of the time, then strive for, 50%. But it sets you up where you're intentional about how you want to spend your time. And then you study it. You go back a week later and you say, did I even hit any of these of the ways I said I wanted to ideally spend my time?
And what if you don't? What if you didn't hit any of them?
Then you start to study why. So the first thing is you start to study, what did I give up? Like I said I'd exercise 2 mornings a week from 8 to 9. What did I do instead? Did I sleep? And is it because I'm sleep deprived because I stayed up too late? So you start to study what you gave up and for what and why. Any behavior modification is, a lot of people are like, I just want to do this. And they go gangbusters, but they don't study the why. They don't study the how. And they definitely don't look at, what am I doing now? So if they're at A and they want to get to Z, then, let's go through the alphabet a little bit. So if somebody is giving up, let's say you're only giving up exercise, then I would ask yourself, did I set the right time to exercise? Did I set the right tools? Do I have a buddy system in place? Is someone sabotaging it? Do I give it up for the same thing over and over? Do I just not want to do it? So I think that if you're not meeting the ideal time map, then I think the answer is, why am I not meeting it? And what can I do to change that?
Right. It is really hard when you're an entrepreneur, and I'm not saying it's less hard for other people, less difficult, but when you're an entrepreneur, I'll give you an example. All right, I had all my workout stuff on this morning, ready to go, and I got a phone call that I've been waiting for probably 2 weeks, and I knew who it was, and I had to take it. So I missed my exercise. Then it was time for me to have a shower. Last night, I was supposed to go take a class at Base Camp Fitness. I forgot my shoes. It's just, and it's making me mad because I always have time for everything else except for that. And even though I make time in my phone, I make a reminder, I write it in my planner, if something happens, that's what suffers.
So that was a good plant for what I'm going to talk about next, and I'm going to challenge you on this, not in a mean way, but you use a very interesting choice of words. You say, I had to take that call. Actually, you didn't. You chose to take the call and give up your exercise. And just knowing that it's a conscious choice to pull yourself away from what you said that you wanted to do with your time is powerful. And it doesn't mean you might not make the same choice the next time, but you didn't have to do that. You chose to do that. And so if you choose to do that and you feel good about it, then it's okay. It's like, nope, that was my priority at the time, and I was willing to give up my exercise. But if you start to feel cranky pants about it, you're like, oh my God,
I feel cranky pants.
I put it on my calendar, and something always comes up. Well, the something that comes up you're consciously choosing to do. So then I'd say, okay, A, are you self-sabotaging? Like deep down, are you like, oh, good, I don't have to exercise? And if that's not the case, then I'm going to challenge you and everyone else listening to honor appointments with yourself. And it is, I know, easier said than done, but we will honor appointments, especially as entrepreneurs. Like you have an appointment with a client, you had this appointment with your listeners and with me. You will honor that. You will move heaven and earth to be there for that appointment or to get on that phone you're supposed to. But if you have an appointment with yourself, and this is not just you, this is so many of us, and especially women, we give away appointments with ourselves way more than we give appointments away with anyone else.
Right. And I'm a coach and I know I shouldn't do that. And I do it because I think, and I know it's because I think that what I'm doing is more important than what I feel that I need to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's interesting. So so you have wants, needs, and shoulds. And your should is winning over your, let's say, your want. You want to exercise, but you feel you should answer the phone call with the client.
Take this class. I was right in the middle of this class and it's online. I could stop at any time, but I was on a roll and I didn't have my shoes. So I didn't go home and get my shoes to go take.
That's just prep. So I'll tell you, like, okay, put an extra pair of workout, go to Target, get a cheap pair of exercise shoes and throw them in your car or in your bag.
That's a good idea.
But that is part of time management. You know, I have clients that will tell me, you know, I need to set an alarm and go to sleep in my workout clothes and have someone waiting on the corner for me. And if those don't all happen, I won't work out. And we're just talking about workouts.
That's what I need.
Yeah, and I laugh. But this is with everything. It's not just working out. It's like, and part of it is we're human. And part of it is, like you said, we're very reactive as a society and as entrepreneurs. We're like, oh, if I don't take this call, I might not get this deal. Oh, if I don't do this, I might not get that. And so we become very reactive. And then some people get really addicted to this whole concept of crazy busy. So I always tell my clients, get that out of your vocabulary because words are really powerful. And if you're walking around going, oh my God, I'm so crazy busy. Well, A, it's not a great brand. I mean, who wants to do business with someone?
Right. Then you're
that's
too busy.
That's boasting how crazy busy they are. You know?
Right.
So I think that that's part of it is that we tend to fall into these traps of, you know, I have some clients that get addicted to that chaos feeling and they don't know what it's like to have white space on their calendar. They're like, what would I do if I have nothing in that slot? I'm like,
breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That's very true. So you've actually written a time management. Is it a calendar? Is it, or is it just a system?
It's called the Ultimate Life Organizer, and it is an interactive guide. So it's a book, and then in the book, it has there's chapters on the psychology of getting organized, there's chapters on time management, and then there's physical organizing chapters, like how to organize your house and your papers, and I love it. It's a great book, but it's out of print because I worked with a small publishing house and they did a limited run, and it's good and bad. It's great because it's sold out. Barnes & Noble bought it, you know, and so it's sold out, but then it's bad because it's out of print. So you can only get a used copy of it online. And it's kind of fun because every once in a while someone will message me through Goodreads and they're like, oh my God, I just got a copy of your book. And I'm like, yay.
That's kind of fun. So we have a couple of people here in the studio. Everybody, actually, all of us here are entrepreneurs. So do you guys have any questions?
Nice.
I usually have a question and I don't tonight.
Wow, that's really weird.
Unusual. Yeah.
Now it's going to snow again.
Yeah, it is.
Uh-oh.
How about you, Debsy?
Yeah, I was going to say fire away. I love questions, and especially about life-work balance, time management, productivity, because it's such a hot button topic for all of us. And see if anyone else has questions, but if not, I want to talk about one other concept, which is called boundary management around life-work balance. And it's sort of fascinating,
really
and a lot of people don't know about it.
That. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds really good. Let's do that.
Okay, so we all have these businesses, right? So now I'm hearing, you know, it's all of us that are in your studio and then me on the line and hopefully a lot of people listening. But even if you don't, and in fact, in some ways it's worked even better if someone goes to, quote, a day job every day. So the idea is, are you an integrator or a separator? And knowing that about yourself and honoring that can really change things with feeling satisfaction, feeling productive. And I'll give you examples. So many people are separators. When they are at home, they don't want to think about work. When they're, with their kids or they're out with their friends, or they don't want to be taking work phone calls, checking email. And when they do have to do that, they get resentful. And then when they're at work, they don't want to be interrupted by their, quote, personal life. And again, if they get interrupted or they're, get stuck dealing with personal issues at work, they feel guilty and they feel resentful. And so the idea for a separator is they want to be fully present with what they're doing and not have this nagging, guilty things coming in the way. Whereas an integrator, it's almost like, think of like healthy versions of multitasking. An integrator enjoys integrating. They figure out ways to bring their personal passions into their work. They might be on vacation and they don't mind checking email. They're like, hey, when I get back, I have less to do. I check email 1 hour a day, but then I also went surfing. And so they happily integrate. They might actually bring their kids into their business fold. Like, hey guys, can you, stuff these envelopes with mommy's, marketing campaign? And so they integrate and it works well for them. And I think knowing which one we are is really powerful. And I didn't pay attention to this as much, I admit, when I was a lawyer, probably because I was just working all the time. And I think I wanted to separate because I was just like so burned out and so overworked. And when I was finally not working, I was like, oh, go away. Whereas as an entrepreneur, I'm an integrator and I love it. And I don't make excuses for it. Like, I have no problem, getting my hair colored and sitting there and checking email and replying to clients. I don't feel like, oh my God, my work's bothering me. Because then I know in the middle of the day, I might go out for a bike ride. So I actually like life-work integration better than separation.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I too am like that. And I always have been. When on the weekends, when I used to have open houses, the boys went with me and colored. They took their crayons or their homework or whatever. And now, when you were talking about that balancing wheel, it's fun for me because like I integrate my friends right into my work. Like right now, the people that are here are my friends, and I consider myself very, very fortunate to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think knowing that you're an integrator and honoring that and actually figuring out more ways to integrate is helpful. Whereas if we have some listeners out there that are like, you know what, no. Like when, like one of my clients said to me, I do not want to work on the weekends at all. I don't want to deal with clients. I don't want to answer emails. I don't want to book any appointments. I don't want to market. When I'm with my kids on the weekends, like that's it. And I'm like, then you need to, and your boundary management and let your clients know that. And then you need to honor it and stick to it. Because as soon as you start integrating, you are going to be resentful and cranky.
Exactly.
So it's just a good thing for us to know about ourselves. And we sometimes see people that are strict separators, but they integrate only certain things, like only email because they could do it on their own time, whereas they might not integrate big projects or phone calls. Or one of my clients is a lawyer, and he hated the fact that on weekends that he was stuck doing 4 hours of work on a Saturday and a Sunday, and he felt very guilty that he wasn't spending time with his kids. So I said to him, how old is your daughter? And he said, she's 15. And I said, how about you go to Starbucks with her on a Saturday morning, it's just the two of you, and you order like your favorite lattes and you check email for 3 or 4 hours and she does her homework. And now they do that on Saturdays and it's become their thing to do together, which is really cool.
That's a really good idea. That's smart, Lisa. That was a really good idea.
Rather than feeling like, oh my God, I never get to see her. And she's like, oh, Dad, are you working again? So figuring out, like you did with bringing your boys in their coloring, So the integrator and separator thing is a good thing to know. And then along the same lines, a lot of people don't even know what their focus is in life. And there is work-focused, home or, personal focused, dual focused, which is focused on your work and your life equally, which is very difficult, and then other focused. And when people like really think about this, or when they take some tests around it, they all want to be dual focused. Like everyone wants to come out like, look, I'm perfectly focused on my work and my life equally. And it's just not the case for most people. There are some people that definitely are dual focused, but most people are work focused. There are some people that are much more focused on home, and work is an afterthought. And that's fine. As long as they're getting their work done, that's fine. And then there's some people out there who are other focused. Like you might meet them at a networking event and they're a triathlete. and they're talking about their last 3 triathlons, and one was in Hawaii, and you're like, God, this guy is so cool. Did you hear about this? And then you're driving home with your girlfriend, and she's like, what did you do during